Hello, this is Kat Carasello, and we are here. This is a live session. We are coming together to create using the ideas that we've been talking about in the masterclass to really foster a sense of our own connection to depth, love, and trust. And the reason that I called up these particular energies is because this is all about creative play on Valentine's Day. And the first thing I want to say is that holidays are not always easy. They're not always as they are intended to be. They don't always meet us in the way that is sort of collectively or culturally appropriate. So I want to be real today, and I want us to allow ourselves to entertain whatever comes up. Valentine's Day and creative play is really just a way to tap into whatever it is that you are feeling and whatever it is that you need. So we're really going to be riffing around needs and feelings today. And we're going to be approaching things from the serious play perspective and the creative play perspective, or the joyful play perspective. That whole range is part and accessible within artist process and transformative art. So the first thing I want to do as a collective is just take a breath and feel yourself in your own body. Feel yourself here. Feel yourself called into your interior space, your sacred body as a vessel. Honor your breath. Honor your heart. That it beats, that it pumps blood through your system, that it oxygenates and recycles itself. And move your energy down to your solar plexus and bless that energy center in your body. Where your power resides. And tap into your own belly wisdom. That beautiful receptive space inside your body. That is the seat of knowing when you don't know. Creating without language and interference from the overthinking brain. And bring your breath all the way up to your throat and your third eye and your crown. Channeling your breath up and all the way down to the root. And allowing your body to move and reset itself, to lean back, to find its comfortable stance. And now come up to the surface and back to the call. Feel yourself blessed in this moment and receptive for the creative process. Thank you for that. I needed that. So here is a rose. I have a beautiful rose for us today just to kind of focus in on. Again, I want you to notice where and how you get to receive depth, love, and trust today from your own creative process, from your own inner wisdom. And know that I bring an intentionality to this space to offer us all an opportunity to focus in on the energy of this unfurling, unfolding knowledge and wisdom that resides inside. Have you all been enjoying the lessons in the Masterclass series? Yeah, they're really great. They're gems, they're little gems everywhere. It's wonderful to stir this energy, and I hope you're all enjoying the new interviews, which are so much fun, really allowing us to sort of share from the inside what it's like to be in the CDCC program. That creative depth coaching certification program is why we're here doing the Masterclass series. And I want to remind you all that I'm welcoming and excited to hear from a lot of people about stepping in and exploring options within the program. So did everybody bring some paper today? If you brought some paper, you know, I just took big paper and I folded it in quarters and tore it into pieces. I have 8. You know, this idea of just having some paper around of any size, I kind of like handheld size for myself, but you create on any size you want. And the first thing I want us to do is I want us to tap into the language of symbol. So I'd like you to hold your paper or lay your paper out on the counter. I want you to close your eyes and tap it awake. When we tap into energy, and we're going to touch into a surface, right? We're going to pour out some of our energy onto this paper, waking it up can be a wonderful opportunity. The first thing I want you to do is wake up your paper. Then I want you to spread it out and very, very quickly, without thinking, take a marker, whatever pencil marker color you have, one marker, one color. I want you to make one simple mark or symbol on each paper. You can use less than 8. You can use more than 8. I'm using 8. Each paper, one simple symbol, different symbols for each. Whatever comes through. We all have our own symbolic language. I'd like to hear from one or two. What did that feel like? What did that feel like? Somebody take yourself on mute and share. What did it feel like to make marks, to create symbols? What did you notice as you went from the first to the second to the third to the fourth? For myself, I noticed I started super simple, and one symbol led me to the next, led me to the next. And then as I got to the end, the symbol became really complex. it became much more sort of dynamic. Did anyone else notice something about your symbols, your marks, your connection one to the next as you moved through?
I lost the significance of worrying about my symbol and got into just letting it happen.
Yeah. So it started to shift towards a much more intuitive marking process. Yeah. Who else? Anybody else? We're going to share today. Jane, what happened with your symbols?
I found them really quite simple and specific and small, but easy to do. Just kind of, the first one was a bit more difficult, but it just got easier as once I started getting in the flow of it.
Yeah.
I agree. For me, they started out small and then they got bigger and looser.
Bigger and looser. I love that. Yeah, there is something about a series of marks, just noticing. And again, we're talking about these super simple techniques that just start to alter the responsiveness inside ourselves to what it is that we're doing. We're such meaning-making machines. One of the beautiful parts of this creative approach is to work with meaning making, but also work with the unknown and work with the mystery and allow for that somatic body to lead us and guide us. One of the ways we start to interrupt our thinking brain is to do this quick fire process together. And so that's a real benefit to just notice what happened with your symbols. Okay, I want you to mix up your papers, however big they are, it doesn't matter. And you're not going to look at the symbols anymore for a while. You're going to focus in on the white side. You're going to mix them up, put the symbols down on your table, and you're going to lay them out. Just getting ready, sort of preparing again for creative. And I'd like you to tap them again. Just touch them, feel the energies, allow them to be what they are. Tap your own heart, tap your own body. Just allow yourself to separate from them so that they get to be what they are and you get to be who you are in this moment. And as we create, I want you to sense the next steps for you within these pages. I want you to feel yourself just opening up, that receptive self, allowing yourself to be present to this moment, be present to the wisdom of your creativity, be present to who you are now and who you are becoming. And I want you to listen to this poem. And then I want you to take some kind of paint or color and start to work in some paint or color to your papers. And you can do that all at once. You can do that one at a time. And I'm going to share some things as we're doing the painting, so we're not losing energy. So as you start to open up some paint, sometimes I choose 2 or 3 colors and I just dab my fingers in, but absolutely use a brush, whatever makes you comfortable. Crayons, other kinds of, charcoals or cray paws, anything like that will work, okay? as you start to dab, as you start to paint, as you start to feel into these spaces that are holding something for you that you don't know yet. Listen to this poem. Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt, marvelous error, that a spring was breaking out in my heart. I said, along which secret aqueduct, O water, are you coming to me, water of new life that I have never drunk? Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt, marvelous error, that I had a beehive here inside my heart, and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night, as I was sleeping, I dreamt, marvelous error, that a fiery sun was giving light inside my heart. It was fiery because I left. I felt because I felt. It was fiery because I felt warmth as if from a hearth, and sun because it gave light and brought tears to my eyes. Last night, as I slept, I dreamt, marvelous error, that it was God, goddess, spirit that I had here inside my heart. Anthony Machado. Last night I dreamt, as we are touching and releasing energy onto the white papers. Last night I dreamt, marvelous error. I want us to think about how our creative language and the language of depth is a dreaming thing. It's a dreaming thing. It's a language of symbols and energies. It is indwelling. It lives within us. So this idea of creating from the dreaming path allows us to drift past the thinking mind into the immediate connection of experience. And right now you're tapping into, you're touching both your soul's knowing, the spirit that lives inside the self, whether you call it great spirit, God, goddess, inner spirit, that light which lives within you, not always easy to find, not always easy to move back into when there's been disruption. But we tap that. We allow that to live when we're allowing our dreaming language to guide us and lead us. So this intuitive energy, this tapping, touching into color, the way that you move and energize the space that now is part of who you are, the dreaming state, the receptive, open page that is willing to receive anything that you are willing to offer. So there's a symbiotic relationship between that page, whatever that substrate, whatever that receiving space is, whether it's round, whether it's rectangular, whether it's square, whether it's cardboard, whether it's paper, whether it's canvas. Let's just offer ourselves this wide open space to say, whatever it is that we create towards is a mirror that reflects us back to ourselves. And so to allow that dreaming language to pour out of ourselves allows us to translate it over time, right? to translate it over time, because we don't always understand what it is that we're tapping into, what it is that we're spreading out or smoothing out or brushing in a certain emotion, right? And as you move energy, motion is connected to emotion. We allow ourselves an opportunity to move, and like a stuck gear, the more we move, the more moving energy there is inside of us. So feel into this space as you move energy, as you move the color, as you allow yourself to be present with what's happening on the page. And if you're going page by page, shift from one to the next. Notice where there's softness. Notice how different kinds of movement is showing up in your body and showing up in this process as you allow color to come in. And I'm always fascinated by kind of the textural quality of how the paint comes through and how it moves me, how I recognize it in my body, how it calls in a certain kind of energy or meaning. So notice that rhythm, that textural quality, the way in which you use your fingers or move the paint, and how it moves you, the symbiosis between the dabbing or the stabbing or the motion that is moving through as you're just spreading a little bit of paint and color into these white or paper spaces. Notice that sacred space. Notice where there's marvelous error. Marvelous error. Last night I dreamed. What is the marvelous error? What are you recognizing as you touch and tap into a deeper need? We move into relationship with ourselves through language, but what often awakens is a deeper need, is a very personal story. So let's connect to something that has come through either in the last few minutes, a personal story, a personal connection, something that feels important to you, something that you've noticed, or in the next 1 minute, there's going to be a connection, personal story as you paint. Giving yourself an opportunity to open, listen. Okay. Choose that, something that just sort of floats up into awareness right now, like a feather. You're going to catch a feather. I had a son when he was very young who used to follow feathers, and once he got lost at the beach, when my husband at the time was talking to friends, he got lost at the beach because he was following a feather. And it was a real crisis. It was a huge, huge beach along a big boardwalk, and it took a while to find him. But he had no idea. He said, I was following a feather. So let's follow a feather. Let's grab something that comes up into your awareness right this moment. Might be a word, might be a symbol, might be anything. Yeah, who wants to share?
I was just realizing that in order for me to really let go of the perfectionist that I cling to, closing my eyes and just using my brush on the paper from my body just feels so good, without any judgment of my art, just really the process. And when I open my eyes, I start to judge again, and I then close them and forgive myself and kind of just keep letting myself be with that.
I love that. Yeah, I love that, Holly. And did you notice a certain texture or a certain quality as you were painting that felt delightful, felt,
Yes.
what about this sort of textural, symbolic sensation type quality that comes through? What was it? Can you identify it or name
Yeah,
it?
letting myself flow, real soft. I don't always approach art quite softly. I'm sort of worrying about the lines and the structure, and so just letting myself just move and feeling my heart and my stomach and my neck kind of loosen with the movement of connecting my body to the brush.
Mm.
Just super delightful. I'm so relaxed. I wasn't when this morning. I'm a night owl. So I was like, and then I didn't know we were going to be on camera. So I was like, and so now I'm just feeling so good. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that, faced with surprises like we are every day, in every moment, right? Like this is a
yeah.
normal day. What I love, the description of this flowing state, and when we can identify a state and this real state shift that you've experienced today, that is a lived memory. That is experiential process that now is anchored in your body. It's a living energy that you can tap into. Your body will remember it. The fact that you spoke out about it has amplified it. Now it lives within your body like a twin, right? Twin energies. I love, my hands are so colorful, so pretty. They like to talk. They're very Italian. They're this idea of identification in the moment and recognition. I'd like you to pick up and share, first Holly, and then all of us are going to do this. Pick one of your papers, if you were working on multiples, or the one that feels that it holds some of that energy that you're speaking of. Hold it up. I'll do the same for mine.
I think this is when I really connected.
Tell us about that sensation again.
Started in the middle of my body and just moved out with whatever was there, which really felt like a gentle unraveling, acceptance, feeling self-love. Yeah, just
and you're looking at the back of it. So you're right now witnessing the symbol that's on the back. What symbol is on the back?
Wow. It feels the same unraveling in a kind of woo sort of way of letting go and moving up and being grounded. My little tether, woo, kind of feeling.
Yeah, almost like a kite tail, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this beautiful moment. So I want everybody to choose one of your pieces of paper that is holding multiple energies. Let's all hold them up. And I want you to witness the energy on each side. Energy on each side.
I never got to multiple.
Flip it over. But give yourself a chance to really take in what you're resonating with right now. Again, you're learning a new language. I want you to think of this almost as decoding. There's something you're going to see on each side that's going to represent something unique to you in this moment. It may not be connected to what you were anticipating or noticing when you first made the mark. So marvelous error, right? Marvelous error. Things happen when we allow ourselves to unhook from directed process. Experiential process is very much a flowing state. And by making marks, this is sort of where I am with my mark making. I didn't really have enough space for everything to be fully marked. So there are partial marks on certain pages, right? So there's nothing about perfection when you sort of fit yourself into a little space, unexpectedly get on a call, find out we're on video and we're sharing collectively. And there's nothing perfectionistic about this. It's very haphazard and it's very intuitive. And we're simply decoding the language that is held in our space today. How many of you remember Cracker Jacks or cereal boxes with decoding rings in them? Or those little kinds of, surprises that you got in random places, and they were always, when you were like 4, they were like, gosh, it's the decoding ring. Listen, part of what we do with in-depth work is we tap into the magic and the mystery of the archetypal child. We really tap into restorative healing around adulting. And by and large, the vast majority of people that work with me are, 40 to mid 80s, because there are different developmental stages that start to show up in our 40s that are shifting our allegiance from others back home to the self. We're starting to entertain possibilities that we are not the all giving, all serving, all, meeting needs and doing for others, whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's home, whether it's expectations that are still hanging on from family agreements, or whether there are the changing nature of relational agreements and partnerships. There are all kinds of things that start to happen when we move close to our 40s. But then again, as we move year to year, there are certain junctures of profound, altering, life-altering awareness. And we all know that, right? We've all been there, either dark night of the soul, breakdown, unraveling, whether it's divorce, loss, grief, all of the things that start to create a need to know thyself. The more we know, the more we know. This is the basis of depth work in my world. This is my mantra for depth work. The more I know, the more I know, the more I can tap into my own inner knowing, the more I know about who I am. The more I can respond to myself, the more I can be with myself, the more I can utilize my strengths and work in areas that need attention, the more I know about my shadow, the more I can understand the healing process that is a deep need. So if you resonate with that, if depth work, if this kind of transformative, connected way of gaining awareness and creating consciousness is appealing, you might want to write down more is more. You know, we live a life where less is more in a lot of ways, but when it comes to personal growth and evolutionary growth, having my energy run down the drain and get lost is not going to serve my whole self. Well, allowing energy to leak out and be unconscious about my own energy leaking is not going to serve my wholeness or serve my ability to be present. And so again, as you are dabbing, as you are populating this paper with energy, acknowledge some of those junctures at which you have experienced or are experiencing change. Basic, dynamic, profound change that comes in all different shapes and sizes and forms. It's when we can feel into what our needs are that we start to reveal where we can apply our self-care. So I want you to choose one of these pieces of paper, a new piece of paper. And if you have any collage materials, any images around or even words, I just want you to grab a few things and I want you to plant. I want you to choose a new piece of paper with some marks on it. And I want you to just take a minute and either make marks or glue, just choose some random edges of papers. They don't really have to represent anything. They can be completely random. I often tear little edges of scraps that are sitting around my table. And sometimes, I'll tear them into a slightly different shape. I happen to like organic shapes. So I do please myself. There is a little tiny bit of aesthetic in my non-perfectionism, but I want you to plant 5 random seeds of image or energy coming from something else. Onto that one piece of paper that you're working with right now. I have a little old dog barking upstairs who's deaf and missing me. So we're just going to hear that bark, bark, bark. It's a little bit less loud than his toenails on the hardwood floor down here. So wherever you've planted some new imagery, some new energy, again, it may have a little bit of representation of figurative stuff in it, or it may not. These are story seeds. So here's mine, and mine is completely lacking in any figurative imagery, that's identifiable. It's color, shape, texture. So I want you to glue very quickly, choose very quickly, tear edges, just get something populating that space. And then I want you to take one of your pens or pencils, whatever you have nearby, and I want you to extract a story. So I want you to gaze for 30 seconds at your paper, and I want you to start to write a story. And your story is going to probably be 5 words to 20 words. It's going to be 1 to 2 sentences. It could be a phrase, could be 3 words, but I want you to tell yourself the story of what's held here. And I'm going to guess that the story holds a need. And I'm going to guess that that need is unmet. So seek a story of an unmet need in this space. So your story has revealed itself. Now I want you to take a marker, a different color, and I want you to circle 3 to 5 words, random words. I want you to circle 3 to 5 words. Okay, so here's what that looks like when I have written my story and circled my 5 words. Who wants to share their words? Great. Take yourself off mute, Megan, and just go ahead. And then anyone else who wants to share your words in any order. Yeah, Megan first and then Meryl, and we'll go on and on.
Okay, great. Well, this has been already so exciting. Things are waking up. My words that stood out and then I circled are landing, reclaiming, yet, speaks, and lifts. And I wrote them on a different piece of paper, but this is what I've been working with. So, yeah.
What do the words mean to you now? Because there was an original story that you sort of discovered and wrote and allowed yourself to call a story. It may not feel like a story, but we're calling it a story. But when you chose the words, now what do you feel when you hear the words? What do the words, it's almost like the words hold capsules of other stories, right?
Right. Yeah, they really do.
So what are you noticing in these words now that you've created several layers on this one paper?
Well, it's more of a sensation deep in my body, like a power, kind of a calibration or a realigning.
Okay.
And it does ask for me to keep going. Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So one of the things I am noticing here is we're just separating energies where we think we have a story and then we're eliciting a new little piece of the story. And I want you to take one word and I want you to plant that one word on a new blank paper. I want to hear other people's words as you choose that one word and plant it on a new piece of paper. Let's keep sharing. Meryl, you wanted to share next? And then Holly, I think. What are your
Okay,
5
so
words?
here's my picture here. And the 4 words I had were compost, nourishment, hearth, and lambs.
Mm. Does it feel like these 4 words now are holding different energies than the original story?
About the same, I think.
So when you choose the one word and plant it on a new piece of paper, it will be interesting to feel into what wants to happen there. And you can go back to, adding some images and starting to create intuitively and intentionally. That one word is going to focus in on what the new story is.
So you plant the word, not the image.
Right. You're taking one word now out of your 4 and you're planting it onto a new blankish or somewhat populated space. And then you're going to start creating there and adding things to that. Who
You mean
else?
images?
Anything you want to.
Okay.
Who else? Kita.
Yeah. So this is it started out with all blues, and because you were talking about water and air, and then the images I chose are kind of look like, well, they are rocks. So I said rocks in a river that need to move and flow and tumble. And the 3 words that I chose were flow, move, and tumble.
Mm. Flow, move, and tumble. So are the new words that you've chosen out of that multi-layered process sort of offering you new stories?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So now when you take one of those words and plant it in a new space, really we're just starting to separate and create with those marvelous errors. Create with layers of clues or pieces of stories that we don't know yet, right? So take that in a new direction, plant that word that you choose out of the 3 on a single paper. And we're going to start sort of spreading out and populating, making marks or adding images here and there. And we're going to spend another few minutes together to move through this process. Not maybe all of our cards are going to get fully populated, but we're going to start to spread out and work with one word on one card, add some images here and there. I just want you to feel into this potential of a new story. Okay. Who's
Did you
next?
still want
Holly.
me to share? Yeah. Well, this is really cool because I did my lightning bolt symbol and I was wondering what that was about, but I felt it come, and then the same paper that happened, another lightning bolt, and then
Wow.
I found these dramatic, beautiful images, and my words that came to me were seen, heard, attention, connection, back together, because I felt like that, you know, I looked and felt like, yeah, I need, put me back together, put myself back together. Yeah. And when
Yeah.
I looked at this, I felt these pieces needed to connect, and it just all, the drama of the lightning bolt and my need for attention and connection is just huge. And it is part of my story that I'm aware of, but I didn't go this deep. I didn't realize, you know, the kind of calling out that I can own that, you know, that,
Yeah.
hey, it's okay.
Yeah,
Own that.
you can own it. You can offer it love. You know,
Yes.
you can trust it. So here we are. I mean, Holly, this is a tremendous share, because here we're talking about the trusting process. You know, we have to trust ourselves to come into this kind of intuitive art making, and trust ourselves to go deeper, to expose truth, to allow for the intuitive to create space for us to see something that we don't know yet. There's a tremendous power in this process. And we're really opening doors and unlocking passageways to our own knowing. More is more, right? We unlock a door that's available to us forever. This, you really can't unring the bell of knowing what you just exposed. I've never gone this deep with this, and now the lightning bolt represents not only this attention that I need, but the energy that's being generated within and how it looks when it's separated. I saw sort of a negative space lightning bolt in some of where you placed those images. And what happens in the space where that energy isn't, right? Where it doesn't look or feel the way it does most of the time. So really working with trust, deep, deep trust. I think depth work is one of the greatest ways to grow our trust. You know, some of the unconscious stories that we hold from childhood and we hold from original wounds, and all of us have them, all of us have been pre-verbal and had unmet needs that we interpreted a certain way, that created a story that started to live within us. And through our very youngest years, circumstances, family dynamics, ways in which we interpreted our own truth grew around some of those unknown spaces of unmet needs. So one of the reasons we want to work with trust and grow our capacity to trust is to get down to the ground of where and how we're traveling with things that may or may not be relevant any longer. So our stories, we elicit story as being a container name for interpretation, intuitive knowing, memory, experience, quantifiable, evidentiary history, and the sensation or awareness of, oh, what if this is what I felt? What if this is what I knew? What if this is what happened then? We hold all of this with equal weight. And so now when we're in this realm of stirring our stories and creating with depth, love and trust, creative play on Valentine's Day, we're bringing in new sources of knowing. We're bringing in symbols of meeting needs that have gone unmet. We're bringing in the language of trust and love, and we're nurturing ourselves. That softness that you feel when you work with energy, paint, or color, or texture, or form, the truth, the way in which the words will elicit a symbolic language where the poetry will remind us of the beehive heart that lives within each of us, that makes nectar of our old failures. It's an extraordinary idea that that is mine. That is mine because it is part of what I'm doing right here. It's part of what's influencing me, inspiring me, offering me possibilities that I can say yes to. And so I want us to really think about all the ways that we're planting little pieces of stories in our space right now. And if you have a camera phone nearby and you want to share an image of your messy, random, creative space, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to invite you all to do that. We're going to plant that and we can share that in our forum on Gathering Wisdom community space. But it's really wonderful to give ourselves permission to share things that, you know, are undone and unfinished, and yet the conversation is so exciting and dynamic and holds so much potential. And if we're all sharing, there's so much more to see. We're literally cross-pollinating our own experiences with one another's. And so that's a lot of fun. Okay, so now we've taken a word and we've added some images and some energies. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to rub your hands together. I want you to take a deep breath. Open up, stretch out, roll your shoulders, stretch your limbs, whatever you need to do. I want you to crack open your chest and expose your heart space and your solar plexus and that front space of your skeletal and muscular embodied vessel. Take another breath and tap on your heart, solar plexus or belly, whatever feels relevant, maybe two. Now I want you to pick up a new card. Actually, I want you to pick up 3 cards and I want you to write a random word of sacred self-care, a random word on 3 cards that represents sacred self-care. Don't
New
think
new cards or cards we've already put images on?
new cards. New cards, sacred self-care. Draw on your sense of what you know you need. Sacred self-care. Okay. Whatever those words are, I want you to take them in for a minute. I just want you to feel into them. I want you to tap a little paint or color around that space. I want you to, it's almost as if you're amplifying. Oh, this is what sacred self-care looks like and feels like. I want you to add a little color, add a little energy, add a little, I don't know, juicy, fresh energy. It's almost as if you are amplifying or cheerleading these words that represent what you need. And I want you to make marks as if you are right now saying, yes, yes, yes. I know I need this. I'm going to meet this need. I am meeting this need right now. I am embracing this sacred self-care, this self-knowledge. So just feel yourself moving energy around that. You know, you may find that you cover over the words. I sometimes do. You certainly don't need to leave the words exposed. You only need to do what you do, know what you know, trust the process, feel into the possibility of what may now be able to be offered by you, to you, for you. Okay. So whatever happened here, here's one that I did with the word exposed still. Here's one I did with the word not. Now I want you to turn over and notice the symbols on the back of each of these offerings of sacred self-care, and see if there are any connections or alignments. If you cover over the word, but you decide, oh, I better put the word on the edge, just write the word in on the edge with pencil or another pen. If you want
And
to.
I used completely different paper. So should I maybe intuitively grab the symbol cards?
Sure, grab the
Okay.
symbol. Yeah.
Okay.
Match them. If you used entirely different paper, match the symbol with those offerings of sacred self-care. Yeah, absolutely. Adapt, adapt, adapt. You know, this brings up a wonderful thing that I want to mention. And I know that you've heard this if you've been watching those brilliant and super fun interviews. I love doing those interviews. But in creative depth coaching, in the depth coaching approach, there's no cookie cutter outcomes. We're actually crafting and doing our work on behalf of what is our original voice. We're seeking our own language. We're seeking our own way. We're seeking our own developmental path. Whether you would tap into that work through, you know, really investing in your personal growth, or whether you have a professional growth plan, or you're adapting your professional life to encompass depth coaching and what that could bring to you in terms of clientele, in terms of offerings, in terms of income. This idea of adapting and taking suggestions, but then doing it your way is something I absolutely believe in. We cannot, it is so important to develop style, philosophy, and approach. Each of us are unique individuals, each of us coming to this work. You want to grow your work in the world. You want to develop that evolutionary growth, right? So it has to be adaptable. And so every creative approach, every coaching tool, every process, all of the different layers, we're all going to do it slightly different way. We're going to actually have our own unique experiences. And we're going to come out the other side with very, very specific, unique insights. It's your insights that will guide you to your growth. It's your insights in the program that actually grow our coaching skill building. It's quite organic. Through most of the program, we're doing self as client. It's pretty profound work. And a lot of the coaches who did interviews with me have shared more about that. So I encourage you to go back and listen to those interviews and see what you recognize from your own experience of creating today and creating in a collective. We also have these kinds of virtual retreats in the coaching program. And every trimester we get together and do these kinds of longer virtual retreats, which is really fun to create together. Also, you know, a lot of us are doing more online work. Certainly online. I do a lot of my work online. I lead retreats and lead live workshops at times, but tremendous amount of my work is with global clientele. And this is really the new wave. And for those who have been not utilizing that, certainly COVID time has brought us through the doorway of recognizing and realizing we are, you know, we have a connection to like-minded kindred spirits who live in vastly different areas and different places. Right here on the forum, I see people from Canada, I see people in Europe, I see people in North America. There may be some Australians here. It really has to do with timing. And it's quite extraordinary to say our ability to touch and influence and connect and befriend one another in a global circle, utilizing both the sacred space of our connectivity here, but also a sense that we're really all traveling into the temple to do this work. It really is based in mystery. And so there's an etheric space that we travel into, a way that we're gathering circles to do the work that we find so enriching and so rewarding and evocative. Or some of you may lean more into the practical magic, that tangential, translatable material that offers your life new knowledge, day-to-day life. Some of us working more of the mythic or the esoteric realm. I think that all of the work serves us like two sides of the same coin. We are both mystery and magic and material and active in our awareness of participating in the world, in the moment, very active and present in the moment, but fostering and connecting through the mythic self, through those kinds of archetypal channels, to the esoteric and the mystery and the mystic. So archetypally, if you connect to the healer, the mystic, the seeker, the dreamer, the teacher, most of us consider ourselves connected to the creative. So we are all artists of life, but there are compounded archetypal qualities that are very, very common for those who gather into the creative depth approach. And this kind of certification place, we're generally called to rise our energy into the ability of healer, teacher, priestess, mystic. There's a growing energy that calls us to a higher iteration of the self. And a sense, I can be that. And so the language, the archetypal language, the mythic language may translate into creative depth coach, guide, thought leader. So we have language that's that can be very flexible, very fluid. The artist can be called the magician archetypally, right? Or the shaman. Really, the shamanic language is the language of the dreamer and the artist. And so how you are being called to a new iteration of self is something I want you to consider and maybe plant into your responsiveness to an unmet need. Think about planting the name or the calling of that archetypal energy that you know is part of your destiny. And I don't say that lightly. I say that with real purpose and knowledge that you all are here for a reason, and that there are, whether you're live or whether you're listening later, you're here for a reason, and you're calling in energies that are potent And there is nothing in anything that you know about yourself that is not true. And I'm talking about when you step outside of the shadow stories, when you take the energy from the past and move it into the present, and then you allow yourself to seed your dreams, just like we're doing right here on these cards. We're seeding our dreams. We're using the hidden language to expose truth, to offer ourselves seeds of self-love that are going to crack open and grow. We're responding to ourselves, and we're opening up our own inner receptivity channels to be able to receive that which we are giving ourselves in this moment. So see if any of that resonates and plant it in on those cards. Start to populate cards with images if you feel called in that direction. And I'm going to read another poem right now. And we're going to have 5 more minutes to create together. We're going to have one more collective exercise. And then we're going to close and we'll share on the forum. Love after love. The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all of your life, whom you ignored for another who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit and feast on your life. That's Derek Walcott, one of my favorite poems. I want you to create a mirror card. I want you to create a card right now. I want you to pull one of these pieces of paper that is populated with a symbol on the back, and I want you to choose some imagery, and I want you to recognize that each of these cards is a mirror. Each of these cards is allowing you to love yourself again, whom you ignored for others, many others, or another. This self who knows you by heart, this self who is ready to be seen and known. So give yourself an opportunity to create a mirror of who you are now and who you are becoming. Very quickly, just even open up a magazine, find an image. Don't have to know exactly how it fits, resonate with it for sure. Somewhere in the card, you might want to write mirror to remind you of the poem, and I will post the poem in our classroom, and we'll post both poems. When you're done gluing, I want you to turn over the image and look at the symbol. And see what occurs to you that you didn't see at first or know, and write that word. On the side with the symbol, give yourself a remembering of what that is. And let's see, let's share a little bit about what's come up. I know we've gone over time, but that's okay. Okay, everybody hold up where you are in process. What is this card that holds some imagery, that holds the energy of the mirror, that might offer you even a reflection of some of that archetypal rising energy, where you're being called, who you are now, who you are becoming, what you are ready to find, what you see in the mirror, what's coming through this moment. Beautiful, beautiful to see all these energies. Let's flip it over and share our symbol. What is the symbol that came up? I see a star. I see a river or energy flow. I see an egg. I see a half moon. I see a diamond and a flower. Yeah. And a sun symbol, circle. Yeah, beautiful. I see a runic, what looks almost like a runic symbol or a tree symbol. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, who wants to share? Let's take 2 shares about what came up. And then I'm going to give us our last creative act as we share. So the last creative act, as we're listening to the 2 shares, is to take glitter if you have it, glitter pen or glitter, and I want you to add shine to your symbols or to your cards. Now, not all of your cards are populated. Some of mine are just still looking like this. Some still look like this. But wherever there seems to be something significant, wherever there seems to be a moment in the card, a shape of something you want to add shine to, something that feels important. You don't have to know why. Add a little shimmer, add a little shine. So we can be doing that as we complete and listen. So who wants to share what happened when you heard the poem, Love After Love, and when you took that energy of the poem into one of your cards and added an image? Let's hear about that. Holly, do you want to share?
Of course. The sharer in me, definitely. The poem just swirled around me and just brought up self-love for me. And I pulled this image that I had in my pile of this fabulous maiden.
Pomegranate.
And I wrote in what she's kissing that ball. I wrote self in there, and it was on my little new moon. I kind of feel like a new moon, which hit me later when I was looking at her, and I thought before I was hit by the new moon, my maiden wants to come out and love me. And I got gonna cry, which I love to do. So she wants to come invite me to have parts of her back that I gave up. And the new moon is the new beginning
Yeah.
of a cycle
Yeah.
of integrating my maiden. I've been so fully embracing my crone. At the same time, grief and loss and some of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can't, I don't want to push her away because she just is a powerful, kick-ass, badass, fabulous person, which I am too, but integrating that in the softness back in and the playfulness. I want to play. Thank you, love.
Beautiful. Thank you. There's something about integration in that share, and I'm wondering how many of us are actually experiencing integration, some kind of connection to a deeper story. Depth finds us. We don't need to go find it. It comes to the surface and finds us. It will come to the surface and create consciousness around something that is yours, genuinely yours. Who else? Who wants to share what happened in this last phase of our creative play? Laura.
Well, this was loads of fun.
Great.
I have to say, it truly is play. And I don't know, I in the whole thing, I just kept going and making a mess. And so right now, this was about reclaiming parts of me, for me. And I ended up with the innocent child archetype, which that's what I wrote the story about. And then there was this has been the one, this is the dreamer, which I didn't like the symbol on the back, but I love what came out here. And then the lover. So today I'm taking out into my work, the innocent child, the lover, and the dreamer. It was very powerful, Kat. Thank you so much.
I think, Laura, what I'm hearing is all of this archetypal energy, and I think it's profound and very interesting to recognize I didn't like the symbol when I saw the story with the symbol. But now you can really consider that there are many, many symbols embedded on that card. Many, many pieces of representative nuances. And you mentioned 3 archetypal qualities, and it may be that there are different ways you want to work the symbol, different ways that symbol could show up. You may want to go back into it and sort of play with it again and consider it again. There's so much that has sort of risen through, again, this sense of a story that has now led you to another place of what I'm hearing is integration, recognizing the need. So many of us get caught up in these ideas of typologies and specific ways that we're tracking growth. And most of what I know from the work I've done and how I've led is the true balance and reclaiming comes from integration. And it's where we're out of balance, where we have those unmet needs, that we want to bring back in some of those qualities. So qualities of the child's self, qualities of developmental ages and stages, qualities of stories we didn't get to experience at certain times in our life and are missing pieces or hold energy that is traumatic in nature or grief, sort of grief-stricken. We can do that healing work at any time. So there is something profound in knowing there's this trifecta of energies that's very palpable, and coming in just on that one card. We're talking one of maybe 8 cards, right? So remember, this is something that you can continue with. You could take all of the messages from this 1.5 hours and actually continue creating on these 8 cards in a similar way, using some of these techniques and testing sort of where and how you want to amplify or offer yourself more space. So there are lots of different techniques that were mentioned today. Interesting too, where you place your shine, because that can be a nice indication of something here is waiting for you to discover. Sometimes when we place our shine, it's indicative of future knowledge. It's the gold in the dark. And so I want you to recognize that that doesn't indicate absolute self-knowledge and I'm done now. It indicates something that's waiting for you, something that's waiting to be revealed. That too is self-care. That too is enriching. I'm so grateful. I would spend another 2 hours with you all, but I want to honor that. Most of you thought you were coming for an hour. It's been an hour and a half. I can't think of any better way to spend today. It's not today has reference points that are wonderful in my life, reference points that are not so wonderful in my life. And however you hold Valentine's Day, what has unfolded for each of us, what this promised us, what this gift of the rose brought to our souls knowing is what I take away. What a beautiful way to play. I really hope that those of you who are considering, how you've been met in the Masterclass series would tap into the opportunity to talk to me about your next steps. Talk to me about the archetypal energies that are tugging for your attention, where you feel that evolutionary growth is taking you. One thing I know about our lives is we're not done until we're done. And we're not done irregardless of what we've been experiencing. We're just not done until we're done. And if you've been experiencing diminished energy, if you've been experiencing hardship, it can be the best time to bring yourself into more of a structured program where you have a lot of support. So I do really encourage any of you to tap into the one-on-one call with me, fill out the application and set that as an intention to dive deeper into what you're thinking and wanting. And I'd love to have those calls with each and every one of you. I send you off with love. I send you off with these brilliant pieces of your own stories, energies, images, moments, and marks, pieces of your own story that hold secret language. I hope that creative depth work, that the creative depth approach, that the Journey Path Institute programs offers you your own secret decoder ring, offers you the pleasure of discovery, offers you the delight of deepening, and enriches your life. Ultimately, the healing and the wholeness and the ability to discover and determine our own direction are the outcomes of this work. And the more you know, the more you know. And so I invite you to take this and expand it. Sending you all off with love, enjoy, and share
Love you.
your
Thank you.
art and experiences on the forum. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.